violence. That's a big jump from, we're going to take a gun and we're going to hurt some people, which I think is what some folks had in mind, to we have a revolution. Now, once you saw these people inside, they were stealing lecterns and hanging it up. They didn't have so much.
Are you saying they didn't have actionable intelligence?
Oh, at some point in time, that becomes absurd, right? Now, maybe whether that point in time is 2 days before, and look, this is why we needed a January 6th commission to figure out if in fact they had intelligence, and if so, what they did with it. But when there is a march on the Capitol, when you see thousands of people, that's a walk that takes 45 minutes or so. And in that 45 minutes, what happened as well.
So Mike, I also know the FBI director told you this in the years after 9/11. I mean, he told you if you saw what comes across our desk every day, you would crawl under your bed in a fetal position, talking about all the threats. So it's always, after the bomb goes off, it's always easy to find that strand that everybody can say, we'll see, look at this. Why didn't you act on it when, as you offered a conversation with the FBI director, revealed there is so much, quote, actionable intelligence that they had to sort through and figure out what's real and what's not real.
Yeah, the director at that point in time was talking about the intel reports, the overnight intel reports that he gets access to, or got access to early in the morning prior to going to the White House. And it's the same today, Joe. We all know that. The overnight intel reports about threats posed to the United States around the world are colossal. And Congressman Ryan, I'm wondering, how do you deal and speak with colleagues who, in this vein, knowing what happened on January 6th, refuse to go forward with the ultimate commission that will tell us the roots of how it happened, who put it together, who was impacted by it, and the impact it had on the country and on you people who work in the Capitol?
It's very hard. It's very hard. I sometimes say the American public didn't appreciate the extent that before January 6th, there were actually deep personal relationships across the aisle, unlikely ones, right? That began to change on January 6th. It wasn't the rejection of the 1/6 commission. It was watching our colleagues, after an attempt on their lives, after an attempted coup against the United States, still file into the chamber to promote the lie that had led to that violence. That was beyond painful to watch. And then, as you point out, to say, oh, well, let's just move this behind anyway, right? Now, inside the Republican conference, of course, there are people who are offended by Donald Trump, but they don't want to talk about it. And what they don't realize is that if you don't talk about it, all of these questions that we're asking this morning may not get answered. And that means there's a higher probability that it happens again. And because of that, a lot of those personal relationships that I'm talking about have been badly damaged. They're going to take some time to rebuild.
Congressman, I'm just a little guy, so what do you do to rebuild that? Because as you say, people want to watch things get done, and we're going to talk about one of the issues you're working on at this moment. But how do you sit across from people, some of them cynically, who are saying, no, actually January 6th wasn't as bad as your eyes tell you, or in fact, one member of Congress in Georgia who stood there and barricaded the door so he knew exactly what the threat was inside that House chamber. He's come out and said, well, they were just tourists on a visit, strolling through Statuary Hall. How do you work with those people and get some people home, if there is some, that relationships can be repaired and things actually can get done, instead of us talking about why you guys are so split?
Well, it's very hard, really. And until the rest of the Republicans in the conference uniformly reject the reshaping of history that you see out of a relatively small number of them. The ones, as you point out, who said, well, that was just a normal tourist day, or it was the FBI, or it was Antifa, all of the lies that are an attempt to recast this away from Donald Trump. Until the bulk of Republicans reject that and say, we know what happened and that's not true, it's going to be very, very hard. But in the meantime, look, I'll tell you what I tell myself, which is I was elected to get this done. At the end of the day, I was elected by my constituents to improve the lives of people in Southwestern Connecticut. And if that requires me to work with folks that I feel have done a terrible thing with respect to the health of our republic, I got to hold my nose and do it. I'm not universal, by the way, in that point of view. Okay? Look, I was sent there to make progress for my constituents, but sometimes that requires, holding my nose and having a gin and tonic to make it happen.
You look in the Senate, and there is some bipartisan legislation congressman that's getting passed in the Senate. And it's between people that didn't vote to undermine the election. So we always say here, the three parties, there's Republicans, Democrats, and insurrectionist parties. It's got to be frustrating to see some of those people that voted against certifying and pretending that wants us to have it. Let me ask you about a commission project that Nancy Pelosi has put you in charge of, and as a former constituent of your district, it seems very appropriate that she asked you.
Yeah, so you're talking about the select committee on economic disparity and fairness and growth, and it actually plays into the thing we were just talking about, which is disparity in the country, economic disparity is as bad as it ever has been. The top 1% are doing as well relative to everybody else as they have ever done. And at some point that becomes corrosive to our politics, it becomes corrosive to our economy, and I think it affects us morally.
And in my former district, a place I love, New Canaan, in that area, you represent constituents from Greenwich to Bridgeport, and there are people that are in the top 0.01%, and those at the bottom of the economic ladder.
10 minutes away. 10 minutes away. And here's why I'm excited. We were just talking about bipartisanship. It's not a new problem, right? I see a form of disparity in Fairfield County where you used to live. You just described accurately. Go to Appalachian, go to really red districts, and you will see huge disparity. Middle America, rural America, right, represented by Republicans. We're going to start by saying, folks, this is a problem everywhere. What's the nature of the problem? And then again, in spirit of what we were just talking about, no subject is going to create quite as much of a partisan argument. Obviously, Democrats and Republicans have different solutions. But I'm going to work hard to find, even if it's a small overlap, I'm going to work pretty hard to find those areas where we might actually agree across the aisle on addressing this problem. Because it's not a blue problem, it's not a red problem, it's an American problem.
All right, Congressman Jim Himes, thank you very much for coming in this morning and coming off of looking for infrastructure negotiations stand on Capitol Hill. Republican Senator Todd Young joins us next, and we'll weigh in on that. Morning Joe will be right back. Joining us now, the Mayor of New York City, Bill Blasio. Mr. Mayor, this is all very tough.
Oh, that's just another day in New York City. Can we celebrate it? You guys are back in New York City. This is beautiful. It really feels great. This is another symbol, another sign of the comeback of New York City. It really is. And I predict summer of New York City is going to be the most amazing summer.
As your business changes, the United States Postal Service is changing with it. With e-commerce that runs at the speed of now, next day, free shipping nationwide, and returns right on the doorstep. It's a whole new world out there. Let's not keep it waiting.
I look for the Well Health Safety Seal at my favorite places.
It means health and safety measures have met rigorous scientific standards.
Look for the well seal.
Look for the Well Health Safety Seal outside and feel safer going inside.
Duh.
No! Are you using limited mutual standards customizing tool? Sorry. Well, since you asked, it finds discounts and policy recommendations, so you only pay for what you need. You're an animal! Who's got the work legs now? Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Some say this is my greatest challenge. Governments, record debt, inflation rising, and currencies falling. But I've seen centuries of this. With one companion that hedges the risks you choose and those that choose you. The physical scene of a digital world, trading with a touch. Our strongest and closest asset, the gold standard, so to speak. People call my future uncertain. There's one thing I am sure of.
Your mission, stand up to moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis and take it on with Rinvoq. Rinvoq, a once-daily pill, can dramatically improve symptoms. Rinvoq helps tame pain, stiffness, swelling, and for some, Rinvoq may significantly reduce RA fatigue. That's Rinvoq relief. With RA, the overactive immune system attacks your joints. Rinvoq regulates it. to help stop the attack.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis, serious infections, and blood loss. Sometimes they occur, as have certain cancers, including lymphoma, and tears in the stomach or intestines, and changes in liposomes. Your doctor should monitor your blood work. Tell your doctor about any infections. If you aren't taking ivermectin while taking Rinvoq.
Take on RA. Talk to your oncologist about Rinvoq relief. Rinvoq, make it your mission. If you can't afford the medicine, I'll be there to help.
I'm from Switzerland,
Canada, actually.
and we know that the world's best roasters uses this sort of roasters. Other roasters use solvents,
And chemicals.
foods, and caffeine.
But this was one process.
This is only water to remove caffeine.
So your fourth cup tastes just as good as your first.
Yeah, it's got perfection.
You're Canadian then.
I know. It's just great we have.
To try delicious decaf, look for Allegra coffee or visit chooseswisswater.com.
You already got enough to keep up with in your life.
It's 47 past the hour. Bipartisan infrastructure talks are ramping up as President Biden steps into the fray. Senators Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin met separately with Biden at the White House on Monday to discuss the bipartisan infrastructure plan. Here are the 21 Republican and Democratic senators working together on a yet-to-be-released plan. Sources tell NBC News senators are expected to regroup again today before meeting with several White House advisors at the Capitol to join example of Republicans working on that plan. Senator Todd Young of Indiana.
Senator, thanks so much for being with us. We talked about, the here and another day, now bipartisanship, et cetera, what are we going to do? But, you already, Chuck Schumer, you guys already have given us a pretty good blueprint about how to pass significant bipartisan legislation. Did it a couple of weeks ago, and of course, there weren't the big headlines about that. So let's talk about it. I wanted you to come on. Sure, talk about that. We'll talk about infrastructure too. But what you did regarding China, pretty significant.
Well, I do think it provides a model for a lot of legislation, whether it's our bipartisan infrastructure talks, which continue, or additional national security legislation, which is what the Endless Frontier Act was, working with Senator Schumer and other Democrats and Republicans. Look, if there's one issue that clearly unifies Republicans and Democrats and everyone in between, it's the need to crack down on China's predatory economic practices. They've been stealing our intellectual property and they've been dumping goods into this country. That hurts rank and file Americans. So we decided to choose one of those issues, cracking down on those sorts of practices, investing in 21st century technologies in a really bold fashion, and preparing our workers to land those 21st century jobs that pay really well into the future. And, it required a year and a half of staff work, of consultation, across building, but we got it done. 16 to 32, passed out of the Senate.
And when we talked about this, you brought up, and it made a lot of sense to me, you brought up the comparison with how the United States responded despite it.
That's right. Post-Cold War, it was pretty clear that we faced an existential moment, the challenge that the Soviet Union presented. So we decided to use that moment, not just to defeat the Soviet Union. That wasn't really our paradigm. Instead, our paradigm was, let's use this as an opportunity to become a better version of ourselves. Let's invest in ourselves. Let's invest in our people. Let's invest in our scientific enterprise. Let's stand up NASA and let's outgrow, out-innovate, and out-compete the Soviet Union. That's exactly what we decided to do.
It wasn't about just getting to the moon. It wasn't about, beating the Soviets. It was like you said, it resulted in you. I'll say, I'm a conservative, small government conservative. I've always been reluctant to get the federal government involved in private enterprise. When you look back at what happened post-Sputnik, and our government helped inspire, helped create a generation of scientists, engineers, people not only helped NASA, but helped everything, like our whole world changed radically after that.
We stood up NASA, as you indicated. We established and invested in a highway system, an interstate highway system, through President Eisenhower and bipartisan leadership. All of these sorts of initiatives are designed to ensure that we grew at a more rapid rate. We use those resources to build the most powerful military in the world. And then ultimately, over a period of years of strategic patience and bipartisan cooperation, we got things done and ultimately defeating the Soviet Union. So I think that's a model that we can harness. We should not let our many restful disagreements that exist obscure our many areas of agreements. And that's what both Senator Schumer and I did as we negotiated this legislation. And I think that's a model for infrastructure and other issues.
This is something about infrastructure. I think this is an exciting move. Republicans and Democrats working. Because I know this will shock you, I wasn't like a team player. When it came to leadership. So I always love when things are where we are. Organically and there's just something that's towards the if the leadership can't get it done, let's get it done ourselves.
Well, Joe, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So look, I'm a Marine, I know how to brawl too, I got some scars to show it, right? And there are times for that. But you lose a measure of credibility if all you do is brawl. So you've got to identify those opportunities, and there are many, to help one another get a bill done and serve our constituents. Infrastructure is a great combination. So there have been 10 Republicans working with 10 Democrats. I think you just showed their faces on your screen. We can modestly call ourselves the G20. I mean, this is the United States Senate, right?
Okay, and so it's a $1 trillion bill you're looking at, and how will it pay for it? Is that the problem?
We Republicans like to emphasize it's just less than $1 trillion. No.
Is that the issue? Pay for it?
It's really not, actually. It's not within this group of 20 Republicans and Democrats. In fact, we've come together and identified pay-fors, areas of common agreement, repurposing some unneeded COVID funds, revolving funds, which is the kind of stuff we've always used to pay for infrastructure, some public-private partnerships. All this stuff has proven to work, and we figured out how to add it all up to $1 trillion and do this thing without increasing taxes. We can have the tax conversation later if others want to, but we don't believe you have to pay for our essential core infrastructure with raising taxes.
Like articles next, Mike.
Senator, it was good to hear you recite some of our history of bipartisanship. And on this day in 1944, President Roosevelt signed the GI Bill, which passed Congress with big bipartisan majorities. And then the National Highway Act that you just mentioned, and of course when Yuri Gagarin was the first Russian astronaut to appear in space, we got over that very quickly. We were the first on the moon. So in terms of infrastructure today, in bipartisanship, I get the sense that your number is just a little slightly less than $1 trillion. So my question to you is, I understand the concept of we can't afford to go more than $1 trillion. Some Republicans are saying that. My question to you is, what about the fact that we can't afford not to really go over $1 trillion?
That's a shot.
And really repair. I mean, potholes have no partisanship.
No, it's a great question. So I do think we have to invest what is necessary in order to grow our economy at a more rapid rate. So the way I think about our national debt is if someone buys a $10 million house and they tell you that, in the abstract, it's very difficult to decide whether that's a responsible or irresponsible investment until you know what their assets are and what our national income is, and so forth. So if we can grow our economy at a more rapid rate by making targeted investments like in workforce development, which incidentally the Endless Frontier Act does invest in 21st century job and talent preparation, then we grow the economy at a more rapid rate. So I think as we make that call, and I'm not going to negotiate here on television, you'll understand, but as we make that call, we got to figure out whether any additional investments will actually cause our economy to grow at a more rapid rate and bring in more revenue for the federal government.
Right. Yes, you started the conversation talking about the bipartisan work that you did, and you led on with the child bill and getting 68 senators on board. What's the secret sauce here on infrastructure? What is it that needs to happen inside that chamber to get Republicans? You've got 20 of you.
Yeah.
How do you get everybody to understand exactly what this moment is?
Here's what it takes. And we're 4/5 of the way there, okay? It takes development of trust for a period of time. We've done that through the so-called G20 group. It takes a willingness to compromise. We've done that. None of us thinks this is a perfect framework, but we like where we've ended up. And the last thing it takes is presidential leadership. And in the case of the Endless Frontier Act, the president decided to stay silent, which was helpful as we worked on this legislation, because frankly, we had just been through a $1.9 trillion issue that created some consternation and upset on the Republican side, so it was helpful that he was silent. He needs to lean into this package, this bipartisan framework that we've got, and he needs to bless it, and he needs to encourage fellow Democrats to support it. So if he does that, I believe it's going to pass in both the House and the Senate. The American people will have their infrastructure without an increase in gas bills.
We talked politicians, like former regent or former politician, so that's a little bit of work for you. We need to get, we're gonna get a DW bus and we're gonna see the country that's unlikely to get ready to do. You want to go to Indiana? Tell me where we need to go in Indiana. There's some places to go to Indiana.
You should go to French Lick, Indiana. French Lick, Indiana, historic hotel there, got a great golf courses if you want to bring your golf bags. It's a world-class resort, and word needs to get out. So go to French Lick, Indiana, go to Indianapolis, and see our incredible racing scene that we have there. We are the world's racing capital. And go to the most recent national park, which is in northern Indiana, right there in Lake Michigan up north. It's a beautiful place. It shows that nature and heavy industry can coexist. So those are a few hotspots.
I hope in French Lick they have a statue of Larry Bird somewhere.
They do.
Questions just keep going.
If they don't, we're gonna wreck 20
Nice to see you. Up next, a win for college athletes in the Supreme Court's case of overpay, with Justice Brett Kavanaugh saying the NCAA's business model would be, quote, flatly illegal in any other industry. More on the big decisions straight ahead on Morning Joe.
You've done a lot of this, and plenty of this. It's time for something like this. Now get a $20 Best Western gift card every night you stay. Take the lead. Book now at bestwestern.com.
Lately, it's been hard to think about the future, but thinking about the future is human nature. At Edward Jones, our 19,000 financial advisors create personalized investment strategies to help you get back to your future. Edward Jones.
Shingles. Oh, you need Bill. He's been a real pain.
Again with the bill. Hearing about it 24/7 is painful enough. I don't want to catch it.
Well, you can't catch shingles, but the virus that causes it may already be inside you.
So maybe Bill might have come.
Stop.
You know, shingles can be prevented.
Shingles can be what?
Yeah, prevented. You can get vaccinated.
Oh, so I guess it's just you, me, and Bill then.
I'm making my appointment. Bill's all yours.
50 years or older, get vaccinated for shingles today.
Are you tired of underwires? Introducing Knits. Our wireless bras are designed to support you all day and feel like nothing at all, with styles and sizes up to a checkout.
I do not have the time or patience for wired bras anymore.
Go wireless at Knits.com.
Hey guys, I've been shopping.
Don't waste your time and money and change.